how we wind up with two. In places like Chicago, they only have one, and more than 11 companies use it. I just don't understand why we just can't come up with one system. Now we have to worry where one is going to interfere with the other. To me, it just doesn't make sense when other parts of the country use one system. Can somebody address that? How did we get to this? How did we get to this point?
I think it goes back to the conversation we had a few minutes ago, where the access system for Amtrak was really developed for passenger rail, and specifically for high-speed passenger rail. There is a certain way that passenger railroads run their operation, and they utilize certain technologies to run their trains, dispatch their trains, and the freight railroads have literally a different way of running the railroad. And so those two systems—
But is this a company not making a concession to the other, or Amtrak not making a concession to you? I mean, I don't understand it.
We're all making concessions, candidly.
Well, how do we wind up with two if we're all making concessions?
The systems are separate. They rely on communications as a fundamental aspect. And so what we're really doing is the data transmission is using two radios, which are going to use two separate but close pieces of spectrum, and the closer those pieces of spectrum are, the more interference there can be. But I'd say that we're actively working between Amtrak, the Northeast commuters, as well as the FCC to solve that problem, and we believe we have line of sight to that. I don't know if Mr. Mathias would like to comment on that.
You know, and I have the FRA says that 40% of all accidents are a result of human performance failures. The railroads, however, claims that PTC would only prevent 4% of all accidents, inferring that the cost outweighs the benefits. How do we come up with 4%?
We looked at all of the accidents over, I believe it was either a 10 or a 12-year period, all accidents, right? And I'm not sure that the FRA looked at all accidents. They may have looked at a subset of all accidents. Accidents are generally caused by a couple of things, either the conditions or the behaviors, right? The conditions could be track-related, signal-related. The equipment could be how the car operates or some of the components on that, and the same on the locomotive side. And then you have behavioral base. So is there something that happened in the cab of the locomotive, the human factor side of things? We looked at the entire portfolio of accidents and did the math on things that we thought were PTC preventable, and were not, and came up with that 4%. At CSX, it's actually only 2%.
2%?
Yes, sir, 2% of all accidents, PTC preventable.
So, in other words, in your eyes, you don't think it's worth it, make this investment?
You know, I think we're well past that conversation, to be honest with you, member. We have already spent $1.2 billion on it. We have good line of sight to completion of the hardware by 2018 and full deployment by 2020. I think we're well past that conversation.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.